Late Night Health continues. My name's Darrell Wayne, sitting in for Mark Allen. We have David Nikzad on the line, who's the founder and chairman of Ei.Ventures. First of all, the word psychedelic is associated with you and your company, and for the novice that hasn't really gotten into the details, to me, psychedelic is like the 60s and Timothy Leary and flower power and all of that. Why don't you tell us actually what psychedelic medicine is all about?
I mean, for me, psychedelic medicine, my experiences with it were about empowering your emotional intelligence or having an experience that would, as we call it, define some neurogenesis in your life. It has nothing to do with disassociatives or numbing you out, but having some sort of entourage effect where there's a aha of some type.
When you talk about psychedelic therapies and medicinal medicines, you are talking about some of the base ingredients, meaning, psilocybin mushrooms, for example?
We're talking about products that are in the fungi family that contain alkaloids like psilocin that give you this feeling of having some type of an entourage effect. So the idea of what we do at Emotional Intelligence Ventures is to use technology to actually take the idea of taking a magic mushroom as a whole plant, but taking all the best parts out of it without having nausea or stomach issues, to be able to take a product at a 1 or 3 milligram dosage, to have a entourage effect experience and be able to drive a car and, go back to work. Have a 20, 30 minute therapy session and then go back to conducting life.
Because some of the psychedelic drugs, again from the 60s, would not keep you in a situation where you'd want to try to function, whether it be peyote or whether it be Jimson weed or whether it be any of the ingestible type psychedelic products. Is not something that you would want to try to operate heavy machinery after taking, right?
Well, we're in a different age. I mean, I think that just like with cannabis, that you have low dosage and extractions and different oils. Technology has caught up with psychedelics as well. Unfortunately, there are capitalists and companies, just the way the system has been brought up, where they're trying to take something that is derived from plant medicine and making it some type of synthetic off-the-shelf product, almost similar to opioids. So really right now, this movement has not just been about psychedelics, but wanting people to go back to drinking real orange juice than just having a vitamin C tablet.
Well, part of it also is trying to cut down on the, you said the getting sick and not feeling well as a result sometimes, but also unfortunately, we don't know what these other companies with these synthetic analogs, we don't know the side effects these products are going to have. You can take a whole plant product, a fungi is a fruit body, but you can take these plants, use technology to extract the specific alkaloids and have a great experience without making them synthetic. So how many products have you taken from inception through actually putting them in the marketplace?
So between our psychoactive and non-psychoactive products, we have about 70 products, 70, in our formulation library. Right now, in the psychoactive compounds, we have 3 products. One is called Silly, one is called MyDMT, another is called MyMDMA, and these are all botanical, 100% botanical analogs of these different compounds. And then we also have an entire nutraceutical product line also.
Well, I mean, the big thing in the marketplace that people are talking about right now, obviously, are the gummy products that people can use to get THC or get just other, remnants of
hemp and of marijuana into one system to try to help. Your research goes beyond that, correct?
I mean, our research goes beyond it because we are really looking at this as a therapeutic model. I think that, we've seen recreational psychedelics in countries like the Netherlands that hasn't worked out because people incorporate alcohol and other products. I think right now, in order to make this work, we are going to need to have boundaries on how people take these products. So we believe in this therapeutic model, which is a hybrid between supplements and going down the full FDA roadmap.
So who would be your typical patient? What would be the type of thing that people would be seeking when they come and use your product? Who's your ultimate customer?
We've identified at least a dozen indications. I mean, PTSD, heroin, withdrawal, cocaine withdrawal, alcoholism, PTSD, sex and intimacy issues, past life trauma. In our eyes, we are going to have these what I call APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, that we are going to customize to specific indications. Let's keep it as simple as cannabis. You smoke sativa to have an upper, you smoke indica to have a downer. You can actually take these active pharmaceutical ingredients inside of these psychedelic alkaloids and customize them with other botanicals to treat certain indications.
And are any of the products that you are putting out used by people just recreationally, or are they all used to treat some sort of a malady?
Recreationally, we have an entire nutraceutical line called Mana Health that is going to be a daily product that people take. It's a functional daily product like a multivitamin.
And what beholds the future for Emotional Intelligence Ventures? What are you working on now that may be coming to the marketplace in the next 6 months?
Our big vision, as I tell the bankers that have signed on with these synthetic psychedelic medicine companies, is we are the new standard of pharma. We are the epitome of what Hawaii and, what the world is, where we started as humanity. We need to go back to the land. We need to go back to the farm. We need to go back to the seed. The idea of fake meat, fake everything, even fake drugs and medicine, we don't still know 100 years later if our human DNA and our metabolism does well with these man-made synthetic products.
We've got about a minute left. David, how do people get a hold of you to ask more questions and find out more about Ei.Ventures?
Our website is Ei.Ventures. My email address is David@Ei.Ventures. We reply to every email, as long as people are not, asking us for product. Obviously, these products are Schedule 1 products, but we are here to educate and empower because we do believe these products will be available in the next decade.
Sounds great. Our guest has been David Nikzad, who is the founder and president of Ei.Ventures. David, can you come back and spend more time with us on the program in the next couple of weeks to further the discussion on psychedelic products?
Yep, very, very appreciative. Thank you very much.
You're listening to Late Night Health. Mark Allen, your host, on vacation this week. My name is Darrell Wayne, sitting in, and we're coming back with Robert Clancy. Please stick around.
Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com.
The latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Darrell Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Darrell Wayne is insane, what does that make me? Criminally insane. Stick around to find out.
Many of the artist interviews for the latest from the greatest have been captured on audiobook. There is a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great information and conversations with people in the industry and people surrounded by the industry, and of course the rock stars themselves.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and you're listening to the insane Darrell Wayne. And I said Wayne Insane.
You can find it on Amazon or Blackstone Audio. Search for the latest from the greatest from Darrell Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're listening to the insane Darrell Wayne, aren't you?
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. You don't need to pray for a miracle. You just need to ask the Lord for enough strength to carry on, enough faith to accept the plan laid out for you, and enough love to lift your spirit over your obstacles. The miracle happens when you face your challenges with divine conviction in your heart. It's true that most of the universe is mostly shrouded in darkness. So when you discover an incredibly brilliant new star out there, marvel in that precious miracle. The most wonderful thing about love is that beautiful light is always right there within your precious heart. The miracle occurs every time you share that beautiful smile.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
Late Night Health continues. My name is Darrell Wayne, sitting in for Mark Allen this week, and our regular contributor is Robert Clancy. Robert is a spiritual teacher. He's an author, speaker, writer. He's got a full plate, no question about it. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and today we're going to talk about renewal, which my inspirational thought for renewal is hope's renewal comes with every sunrise. You just have to get through the darkest hours to receive it. And in my first book, I had this chapter, and it was just simply titled Death. And I remember my son's school bus driver was, he had told her that I'd written books, so she asked me for it one day, and then she stopped and opened the door and said, I can't read the chapter titled Death because my father passed away recently, and I just couldn't get through it. And it was about a month later when she pulled up, opened the door with a big smile on her face, and she said, I finally read that chapter, and now I understand. It wasn't about death at all. It was about renewal. And renewal is kind of, when you think of seasons, things die, they come back. And just like in death, it's not really death. People go right to the morbid, like somebody in a casket. But it's really about change in your life, and it's always followed by that renewal.
Well, the concept of renewal says that something had to exist in the first place.
Yeah, and that's the point. It's when you have something and it exists, but then it has a rebirth, and nothing ever goes away. If you look at science, all the elements in the universe have always been here, always were here, and always will be here. So even if you burn up a piece of paper, the paper may seem to disappear, but it's actually changed into something else, gas and carbon and whatever else is left over. it's just transformed. So it's really about this transformation.
Well, I mean, there are people that, with death, for example, there are people that were fatalists, like George Carlin, right? He said, when you die, you're dirt, you're worm food, there's nothing to look forward to, nothing after that, and that's it.
Yeah, probably for the physical form, but it's still here. He's still here. He's just in another form. All the elements are still there. They don't go away. That's a proven scientific fact. The elements never get destroyed. They're here.
Now, there's the concept of the body and the concept of the soul, obviously, and most religions say the soul still exists after the carcass or the body's been discarded.
Well, it's not necessarily discarded, it's transforming. And, if the soul, if you look at it this way, science actually proves in some way that those elements are here. So if you have this conscious must still exist even in some other form because it's transformed. And I don't think you're necessarily just worm food and that's it, and it just goes dark and the lights are out.
Yeah, I understand. But in order to enjoy the concept of renewal, you would have to have some sort of an optimist as opposed to a pessimist.
Yeah, well, it's still going to happen no matter what. You still move forward. Things are still going to change. It just matters how you shape it. And I have this quote that I wrote a while back, and it was, if you think about perspective, so if you were very small on a painting, like I put you in the middle of a painting, and you looked around you, you would see maybe, depending on where you were on the painting, it could be dark and murky. But when you pull back, it's like this beautiful painting, if you look at it from a different perspective. And, we never see the great painting God paints for us because we're always standing on the canvas. But the one thing that you can do is change how you frame that painting. And sometimes the frames are even more beautiful than the painting itself. So when you pull back, you may not be able to change the picture that's around you, but you can always change your perspective about what is around you.
Speaking of changing your perspective or expanding your horizons or understanding more about the concept of renewal, where do most people get the information to guide them in that direction? Is it religion? Is it inspirational books? I mean, for people that really don't have it or understand it, where can they go to get it?
It can be any one of those things. You really think about it. I mean, you touched on some big ones. Obviously, you can rely on your faith. You have a community. You have a church community. You have a temple community, whatever religion you're in. But you do have a community around that faith. You can also reach out and do volunteer work. And you can even do volunteer work during COVID in different ways. You could volunteer to do something virtually. And there are ways to connect. And the one thing that was threaded through everything that you just said, Darrell, is the connection. It's a connection to something in there, and that's really the key. It's connecting to what's around you.
But as far as religion, I mean, what happens after death is one of the top 5, no question, of things that people go to. Even join.
Well,
join
if I knew
the
that,
church
I'd have another number one international best-selling book. If I knew the answer to that, I think
you've had that.
We're all there, but that's why we have faith.
I understand. And do you think that you can develop this renewal personally, or is it easier to do it in a group setting?
For me, I believe it's an individual journey because it's something that happens to you, and it's how you handle it when it does happen. The one thing that I can tell you is if you're going through renewal and it seems like it's a negative thing, it will work out in the end, and then you'll look back because there's things that have happened to me that I thought were so devastating, and now when I look back at it, you can just laugh at it, how ludicrous it was, and why was I so worried about whatever that was.
Was that looking at the little picture, so to speak?
Yeah, at the time it seems like it's a big picture, but it's not, and when you look back at it, you're like, why was I even worried about, why did I waste all this energy and time on that when it had no bearing at all?
Yeah, there's a lot of things in life that we worry about or fret over or get disturbed by, and when we actually get through it, it's, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah, and it creates that stress in your life, and I think sometimes the stress is even worse than what you had. I knew a friend that was diagnosed with cancer. And I know that sounds very devastating, but when I had seen them, they were cancer-free and in remission and whatever, and it was completely gone. But they were still worried about it, and the worry was actually creating more health problems than the cancer that they had.
Well, I've heard the stories about the people where the doctor said you have cancer, and they said, great. And he said, well, what do you mean great? He said, at least we know what's going on and we can do something about it.
Right, and it's better than having some health issue, as you know, that you have no clue how to even treat it or handle it or work through it. There are some, that you go through, and it's all part of the process. But the renewal part always happens with some kind of death in your life, and whether that's a transformation from, even marriage is a death, because it's a death of your single life, and now you're moving into this new beautiful relationship. So all of these things have something, and every time that, if you think about a long winter, it seems like everything's dead, everything's gone. And if you're in a snowy zone, it's covered with snow and it's all dormant. But then suddenly in the spring, you start seeing the flowers coming up, and all of a sudden, boom, overnight, everything is bloomed, and it looks beautiful out there. Just give it time. That the essence is the time that it takes to heal and get through something.
Robert, we have about a minute and a half left. What is the big takeaway that we should pack in our bag this morning?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's give things time for you to be able to understand the big picture, so that when you go through it and you're done, you can look back and realize the picture wasn't as big as you thought, and that it will be okay. And in the end, you just got to travel through. Life is this journey. It's not a destination.
We're talking with Robert Clancy, our regular contributor. He has a website. It is guidetothesoul.com. That's guidetothesoul.com. And he's the author of The Messenger, and he's a speaker and a teacher and an inspirational speaker and an inspired person to talk to. Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome, and a pleasure to be here.
Okay, we'll see you again next week. That wraps up this edition of Late Night Health. My name is Darrell Wayne, sitting in for Mark Allen this week. Mark will be back next week. Have a great week, have a healthy week, and most of all, take care of yourself and others. If you're listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Darrell Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308.
Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Allen. The show continues in a moment. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.